Tesla has been releasing updates of full self-driving almost every 2 weeks. Last week, Elon Musk said FSD version 12.4 should come out any day now, and we're also expecting that this version is a big one. Today, we'll take a look at all the things Elon has said to expect with 12.4. There's a lot. We'll also take a look at all the features that Tesla FSD drivers are wanting. We'll review the FSD tracker created by EdgeCase, and we'll also review the various features people are asking for. Perhaps you'd like to see the car now wait for a stopped school bus, recognize emergency vehicles, or be able to see traffic's cop and hand signals. One important one, it seems, is the removal of the nag. Elon has said we should expect this version to be much smoother. I've got Hans Nelson joining us. He has his own YouTube channel called Hans C. Nelson. Welcome, Hans.
Thanks for having me, Herbert.
So 12.4 is a big one. We'll take a look at all the things Elon said. He has, said a number of things, not only about how they've changed the algorithms, the code for this, but also the features that we're expecting to come. This sounds like it's going to be a big one. So you've got Elon saying probably start rolling out 12.4 next week. It's a major improvement. 12.5 is a whole other level. So they know they've been testing this and they know it's coming. It's going to come soon. Now, one example of a feature, Arthur said Tesla FSD 12.3.6 can it recognize hand signals? Is FSD 12 finally recognizing handheld stop signs and hand signals given by roadway workers? I tested this in an actual functioning construction zone with traffic being diverted wrong way and witnessed some impressive results. I'll show that video, but I wanted to show Elon's reply. And John Gibbs of Dr. Know-It-All says, I experimented and found this was not the case with 12.3.3. I don't have 0.6 yet, but we'll test as soon as I get it. Definitely when we all get 12.4. So thanks for the update. Hand signals would be a great addition to the corner cases. Elon replied saying, yeah, I wouldn't count on this in 12.3.x, but 12.4 is a big improvement. 12.5 might nail it. So we might actually see some improvements. Let's watch the video.
All right, we are going to test out if FSD 12.3.6 can read handheld stop signs and obey hand signals. So we have someone up ahead here holding a stop sign. It does pop up on the screen there. And let's see what they do here. And they're now waving us on, and look at that. The car's going for it. So we're going wrong way now, right where they directed us. That's impressive. So, I mean, the question is, would the car have done that without her there? And I don't know. But was a pretty impressive move there. Was a pretty quick and confident move. Okay, this guy's waving us on here. Car's going to continue on. We're still going wrong way, but we've been waved on this direction. Very, very interesting. Look at that. And here we go. We are on the correct side of the road now. Past that detour, but yeah, I'm impressed. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it was watching those hand movements or if it just went around. It's possible it went around because of those cones, but I've never seen it go wrong way without some kind of signage. Never seen it go wrong way into a closed off area. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that one.
So what do you think about that, Hans?
I mean, that's a pretty impressive bit of functionality there. And I think what it sounds to me like Elon is saying is that that's not something that you should have any confidence that the 12.3 branch can do on a regular basis. But it seems like you've definitely got at least a hint that it can do it sometimes. And that's a good leading indicator, because it means that it's possible to solve that piece of functionality with the architecture that they have. And so I think he's got good reason to say that not only are we, potentially being able to solve some of those problems sometimes with 12.3, but his forecast that 12.4 and 12.5 have a good shot of actually making this reliable. And that's how I'm reading it, is good. And, that's very positive news for us as shareholders and for people who are interested in just watching the development and the progress of FSD, that we can handle some of these complex. I mean, you know, construction is one of those scenarios that has always been held up as a very difficult challenge to solve, because there are just so many varieties and variations. And so its ability to navigate those situations specifically really does take, a higher level of intelligence in the system than a lot of other things. And so I'm excited to see what we've seen there.
Yeah. It's actually very interesting, right? Because this system, this neural net model, can actually possibly recognize hand signals from, people doing the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. Elon said that that should be coming 12.4 and will become better in 12.5. Let's take a look at other features that we're expecting here. You got another user AI driver. He says 12.3.5 still refuses to get into this left turn lane for some reason. For me, this issue started in 12.3.3, has been consistent. I go through this intersection every day, and it's always the same behavior. Seems like an odd one to get wrong. So let's take a look at this video. So Elon replied to that, right? He said, it's a big release, should really arguably be 13. And he said 12.4 is almost completely retrained models. The final touches are for comfort, as it sometimes accelerates or breaks too fast for most people's taste. 12.5 and 12.6 are in various stages of testing. We're getting to rare, complex situations. And he says, if you're going down a narrow one-way road and you get a road closure, you have to reverse out to find a new route. That's an example of a very complex situation. You have to just reverse back out. That closure also needs to be communicated to the rest of the fleet. It's the first time he's talking about, some sort of, fleet to map or fleet to fleet communication. So you don't get a whole bunch of Teslas stuck down the road. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I just want to remind people. So when he's talking about it's almost completely retrained, that means that in their new training cluster, they've basically done a full training run of the neural nets now, and they've gone end to end. And what it seems like, one of the things that's possible, and it's probably part of the way that they do their Q&A. So after they did their first full training run of 12.3, and then they're trying to fix individual bugs and pieces, they can take a part of the neural net that they feel like is responsible for that piece of functionality, and they can hold everything else constant, and they can say, hey, just update the weights here in this one little part. And it's probably, it's highly likely that they are doing some of that between 12.3.1 and 2 and then 0.3.3. And so all of these little dot releases are releases where they're holding the base model relatively constant and they're just making small tweaks here and there. But for these 12.4 and then 12.5 and then 12.6, each of those, they've taken that off and they're just completely retraining from scratch, and they're using updated model weights sorry, not updated model weights, updated data to do that full training run. And they're using each time their upgraded training cluster to do that. And so it seems like 12.4 was probably trained on the first. If you go back to that graph that they showed in the shareholder meeting where they had a dramatic increase up to almost, I think, 15,000 H100 equivalents. This is probably the first model that was trained on that version, and I'm not sure if 12.6 was still trained on that 15,000 equivalents, or if potentially 12.6 was actually trained on the then updated, over 30,000 H100 equivalents. So each time they have more compute to throw at one of these models, if you have more compute and you use the same data, you actually might have the opportunity to have a better model that comes out the other end. And so every single day, they're getting a higher quality of data to do these full training runs with. That produces a better model. And then the more compute that you have to throw at the training process, the better the quality of the model that comes out on the other end is too. And so it's not a surprise to me at all that this 12.4 is a dramatic improvement over 12.3, and that 12.5 is then also a dramatic improvement over 12.4. And we should see this whole system accelerating. Um, and we'll just have to, watch and see what all of the corner cases are that develop as this whole system gets rolled out to users. But I'm just extremely excited to see how all of this develops over the next couple months, because it seems like everything is just moving faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, for sure it has been. And what's really cool is just, like all these different edge cases. We're going to go through a few more that Elon said is going to be already fixed in 12.4, but also we'll take a look at what people are asking for. So you've got here the nag has no reason to exist anymore. Kill it. Of course, Elon said fixed in 12.4. So this could be something that it sounds like from the survey I just did, which I'll show you. People have been asking for this quite a bit. Another one is 12.3.5 can never just change lanes. It has to start changing lanes, then come back to the original lane, then change lanes slowly. It's super annoying. Fixed in 12.4. The 12.3.x releases are very minor changes. So again, it just seems like, he already knows what's fixed and what's not fixed. And then I did a poll. Just a reminder that Tesla FSD could drop anytime this week. What improvements are you looking forward to? And then Edge Case, he himself sent out his note. As we're nearing a big release, FSD 12.4, I want to close the loop on some of the less frequently encountered items on the feature progress tracker survey, which we'll look at. I'll take a shot of surveying from all of you faithful FSD testers and incorporate the rating back into my personal survey. So once it comes out, Edge Case keeps track of it, does surveys, gets the general public's feeling of what has improved or not. For him, he's looking for construction zone navigation, right? Waiting for stop school bus, avoiding debris, avoiding potholes, operating inclement weather, traffic cop and signals, special temporary road signs, pull over for emergency vehicles. So these are the ones that are the remaining features that need to be resolved before you can call yourself feature complete. And then he does this, which is something we've looked at several times on this show. Oh, sorry, you can't really read it. This particular version, I'm sorry, it's not very clear. So it basically, he keeps track of certain features on the left here, and then you can see the how well things are working there. What's your thoughts on all this, Hans?
Yeah, it's great to follow along with Edge Case's progress tracker because he has a lot of excellent information. So first of all, I would say if you're not following him, definitely go do that and go check that out. It would also like I'm excited to have him do some polling beyond not just because currently what he's showing there is from his own personal experience. So it would be great to actually expand that so that it's his personal experience and then some broader experience from other FSD testers so that we can get a better feel for how that's working, not just in his area and his drives, but maybe across the country. And I think that all of those things that he's looking for are definitely important things that we have left in order for this to really reach the point of being robotaxi functional. All that said, if Elon is correct in his statements about the types of edge cases that they are now trying to solve for being extremely rare, extremely difficult to source data on, it could be that we see all of these issues get solved in the next couple of months.
Okay. So what I did was actually, I'm trying to get it to put together here. So I've got this screenshot. So it's a little bit more easy to view. Yeah. What do you think of? Yeah. So you like this, right? It's pretty cool, right? To be able to see this. Hopefully that's a little bit easier to see. But you can see that he tracks all these different versions, and then you can see whether or not it's actually improving or not. And 12.3, now can't wait to see what happens to 12.4. But anything that's in red, that's the ones we're looking for.
Mhm.
That's the things he wrote down. Blind spots and potholes. I think it's unfair for him to put a 1, for example, because we have been seeing that it can do potholes. But it's okay. It's one person, and he's kind of, he's been consistent. So, that's at least somebody's doing it. What's your
And
thoughts on this table? Yeah.
Yeah, especially so I would say that all of the ones having to do with emergency vehicles or, construction workers or traffic, people manually directing traffic, those are really, really important, um, that we need to have those solved before this system can really move on. It is a challenging thing to solve, especially, the manually directing traffic because who do you listen to? Like, do you only
Mhm.
recognize people in police uniforms and with construction vests on? Or, do you also respond to just normal citizens who are directing traffic? And then if that's the case and you have something that's robo taxis, you've got to deal with adversarial challenges and all that. So this is, not an easy challenge to solve, but it's definitely something that is within the realm of possibility for a neural net to handle, and so we just have to continue to watch and see.
That is very interesting. Oh my gosh. Can you believe that? So when I asked that question, a few people responded, and these are the things that people are asking for 12.4, right? So smoother acceleration braking, and obviously the neg removal. The neg removal appeared several times. The acceleration and braking is, according to Elon, one of the major things that they've solved, that they're working on, and so that is something we're all actively waiting for. Depth of the neg, number one in importance. Phil Fox. Um, this guy just said level 3 to follow. This will happen fast. Elon said we need 6 billion miles. We'll have this in 9 to 14 months. We've had a discussion about this several times of how fast you think we'll get to 6 billion miles. Um, and then for me, I need to see more improvements to the last 50 feet of the trip. My 2020 S doesn't seem to have all the fancy parking features I see on the newer cars. Um, Yeah, what's your thoughts about this one? I mean, same with my house, right?
So
Like at the last bit, it doesn't know where to stop. It doesn't know how to drive into my curvy driveway. I think that, I'm assuming that they might be able to solve this because of, like some sort of memory. And if it can do fleet to map, where it can like, oh, it's going down a one-way street and I need to reverse and I need to tell all the Teslas, it ought to be able to know that in my driveway, this is how I do it. What's your thinking?
yeah, I think they have everything that they need to solve that problem and that it's just a matter of priorities that eventually that does rise to the top of the priority list, and then I think once they try to tackle it, that they have what they need to solve it and solve it well. There are lots of things that you can imagine being part of that solution. Memory is definitely one of those things, um, that would help. There are probably other ways to solve this as well, but they definitely have all the data and they have all of the sensors necessary, and so that's, I think that they can do that. The question on, he said it was a hardware 2 Model S built in 2020. I thought that they were definitely on
Mhm.
hardware 3 in the Model S in 2020. So that's interesting and surprising to me. Um, it should have been updated to the hardware 3 computer by then, and maybe he just had a mistype. But it should be able to do all of those parking things.
Mhm. Obviously, the big one is banish and summon. Banish is when you allow the car to park itself autonomously, go ahead and find a parking spot. Summon is you it comes to you from the parking spot. What is it? Are these two that coming on 12.4? I mean, we know that they're coming, but I didn't know if he specifically said 12.4. Do you know?
I don't know. It's definitely something to watch for. A lot of people are very, you know, closely anticipating this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one. And then, not holding my breath. I'm okay if it arrives by end of May or in June. Hope to include end-to-end neural net for the highway in it. I agree, Jasminder. That's the one I've been waiting for as well. Um, which cars? Is it in any car right now, or is it two different stacks still? Highway, still the old autopilot, and then local streets.
As far as I know, they're still 2 different stacks again. They were
Yeah.
all one for a little while, and then they got split back out in version
Mm.
12. And my guess is that there's gotta be a data threshold. They've tested f they had so much data on autopilot, and that was the longest, or that was the piece of the code that took the longest to then get migrated over to a full end-to-end neural network, even though they had done everything else in city streets as a neural network. And so I think there's some it seems like there's some sort of validation that takes longer for them
Mhm.
to make updates to the highway stack, and it's just because that system is so good already as it is, and they don't wanna move over to something new until they are sure that it's an improvement in safety and not a regression. Especially,
Gotcha. That
not
makes sense.
only
Yeah.
because what they have is good, but also because the, severity of accidents on the highway are much
Mhm.
more critical than the severity of accidents on surface
Mhm.
streets because the speeds are so much higher. And so I think that's the reason for the delay. And hopefully, it's very possible that as we accelerate these new releases, that the highway stack lags behind the surface street stack
Mm.
continually. Um,
Yeah.
Eventually, it could catch back up if they hold it steady for a while, but that's also something to keep an eye on.
And then Elon did say, right, that only 1 mile out of 10,000 miles, especially in the long highways, is actually the part that they want to look for. And
Mhm.
so it's hard to find these, these areas. The rest of it's very boring. Nothing's happening. It's pretty straightforward. It's just those little areas. So let's take a look at a few more things here. You've got Brian saying a means of dealing with inaccurate missing map speed limit data. Speed limit data is an issue. I would love to see less aggressive following. Feels like 12.3.6 turned into a rushed Uber driver. Also, would be nice if the different drive modes actually did something materially different. It would be really nice if there was more customization available for different desired drive styles. I just want to see a massive improvement in the FSC tracker. That's the one that we looked at. No more lane dancing, less hesitation at T intersection with no cars around. This is something that we just addressed there as well. Better creeping, less aggressive braking, make lane changes earlier, better planning. So this is making the car a little smoother. And I think Elon has said these are the things that's going to be coming. Thoughts on these?
Better planning is definitely the one that pops out there at the end of that. That is a comment that James Dalma has made, that it seems like the car's ability to perceive its surroundings, even today, is still better than its ability to make the right human-like decision in a given situation, and that's all planning. And so, really a lot of all of the, functions that we want to see improved moving forward are improvements on the planning side of things. So, I would definitely agree with that one. And, um, the cool thing about this project is that we have so many eyeballs on it, so many smart people who are evaluating the system, using the system, sharing the results that they have with everyone. And so, I mean, I just want to give a shout out to everyone in the Tesla community who makes it possible for us, you know, dumb retail investors who don't have all the resources that a Wall Street analyst has at their disposal to actually have a much better grasp on the nitty gritty details of whether or not this is a solvable problem and what the status of that solution is.
Mhm. So the last three comments are actually a good summary of what we are expecting. I think that banish the Chat GPT moment, right? This is actual smart summon and banish. That's a Chat GPT moment. I've been saying this for as well. I really do think that people seeing a car driving autonomously by itself in a parking lot is much easier for people to recognize how incredible the feature is, but also they'll take videos of it. Then you got the nag. A lot of people think the nag's an issue. So we'll take that out. They'll be better with it. And then, the things we just said, the blinking red lights, the school zone recognition, emergency vehicle recognition. And so you think, Hans, you said that you believe these are all achievable, if
Mhm.
not even by 12.4, but certainly by 12.5. That's what we're hearing Elon say. What's your expectation?
I think, yeah, definitely, well, definitely by 12.6, probably with 12.5. I'm a little bit less optimistic about 12.4. I think it's gonna be great, but I don't think it's going to be quite the, you know, leap forward that some people might be expecting. And then I just wanted to add, while I do agree that actually Smart Summon and Banish are a ChatGPT type moment, another big thing to watch for is people who are on the, is it 12.3.8, whatever the software branch is that is not updating to version 12 right now. I suspect that Tesla is on purpose not allowing version 12 to be rolled out to the full fleet, that they're basically doing split testing. They're saying, okay, this portion, and I don't know how big it is. I don't know if it's half the fleet in the United States or North America, and then the other half. I think that they're doing two different groups of users, and that is on purpose, and it's for probably some control and data analysis. So when they finally do release it to where everyone has access to version 12, especially if they can jump straight to something like 12.4 or beyond, then I think that's another big signal to us, because a lot of people haven't even got their free trials yet, and so we have released the free trial. Some people mention that as being a chat GBD type moment, and it's excellent, but the fact that they didn't roll that out to everyone, I think, is curious, and so watching that, I think, is an important piece of data as well.
Yeah. I like what you said. I think 12.4, Elon did say earlier, right? He said that it's going to be a complete rewrite in many cases. So often that's like setting the base again. There's going to be some bugs that come with it, leap forward, leap back, and then 12, say 5 and 6. But it's great. We got a list. It sounds like most of them can actually be taken care of. And there's new features that are coming as well. So this is going to be very exciting. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Hans. Follow him on his YouTube channel, Hans C. Nelson. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.